Hello, everyone, and welcome to WatchTime Live. I'm Sarah Orlando, WatchTime's publisher, and I'm so happy to welcome you this morning. Before I introduce you to our moderator, I'd like to remind anyone joining us that we'd love to have our attendees utilize the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to ask our panelists questions. If you wish to utilize the chat room function, please make sure to set it to panelists and attendees so that everyone can see your questions. You can do this by clicking the blue button. I'd like now to introduce you to WatchTime's Editor-in-Chief, Roger Ruger, who will be moderating this morning's conversation with Laurent Ferrier.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Well, hello, everyone, or good morning to the collectors joining us from the US, or good afternoon to our colleagues in Europe. Our next guest doesn't really need an introduction. I mean, first of all, he is going to tell us shortly pretty much everything about his unique career and the company he founded 10 years ago. And secondly, I mean, the brand's breathtakingly beautiful pieces have made a lot of us collectors redefine our definition of true high-end watchmaking. So, Monsieur Ferrier, merci mille fois de nous rejoindre aujourd'hui et bienvenue à WatchTime Live. I would also like to welcome Vincent Peria, who has kindly agreed to help us with the translation. So we get we get more out of it than we had hoped for. So thank you very, very much.
Un plaisir, as we say in French.
So I hand over the word to you. I think we start in French and you do the live translation, which I'm very glad I don't have to do.
Well, okay, hello everybody. So my name is Vincent and I'm going to do the MC parts for a quick introduction about Laurent Ferrier, the company. And obviously we will then have a direct discussion with Laurent and Christian Ferrier. Both are right now in Geneva, and when I'm talking to you, I'm taking my screen. I think that everybody can see my screen. So, Laurent Ferrier, 10 years old brand, 10 years old brand, with Laurent, like an incredible person and personality. I'm trying just to give you things that you may not see online, and only you see that only when you meet the gentleman. He's a gentleman, a great spirit, a fan of watches for decades and decades, and decided a long time ago, and I will come back to this, to create a brand with a partner, his partner, François Servanin. But to go and to speak about that, let me just tease you with a little video of about 1 minute to explain a bit more about how it really started. It started about 10 years ago.
La voiture numéro 40 est notée par Ferrier Servanin et disponible et dans 8e une autre Porsche 935 Crémer, celle de Ferrier Servanin est disponible.
So I don't know if you noticed, but we hear Ferrier. This car was the car who was third during Le Mans, the very famous 24 hours race in Le Mans in France. And this is how the idea of creating one day a brand came to François Servanin and Laurent. In fact, Laurent, who was a long time working for the famous brand Patek Philippe, offered a watch to François to celebrate the third place at the Le Mans. And they decided at that day that one day they will create a watch brand. And it came only in 2009 that finally they decided to do it and to create the brand Laurent Ferrier. the really nice story about this, and it doesn't look like a storytelling, like a marketing story. They never wanted to create a brand. They just wanted to create like a beautiful product, and just to create like 5-10 pieces, and that's it for their friends. And it's just like it's a very nice accident, because suddenly the people started to ask for the watch. People started to call, and it became a brand, but it was not aimed to be like a real brand. So it's really a nice story, because it was not a marketing idea, or neither like a commercial idea. It was really to create like a beautiful watch. And this is what happened after this big success in 1979. So here you have Mr. Ferrier, Laurent on the right, and Christian, his son, and they're both working, and you will be both talking to them right after my presentation. They are both working in the atelier in Geneva. It's called Plan Les Watts, which is the epicenter of the watch industry in Geneva, because this is where you have all the big companies from the Crown, big Crown company, to other big names. They are all in the same place, about like 3 blocks away. Everybody is in the same neighborhood. You see, the aesthetics has been like the central point of Laurent's vision from the beginning. Inspired by the past and engineering with the modern technology, Laurent has been always like very intrigued by, you know, like ancestral watchmaking, but using the new tech, including computers and machines, to create more precise and more spectacular finishings for a watch. So the inspiration is coming from the past, but we're using the engineering of today. The movement is all the thing. You may notice that at Laurent Ferrier, we see the beauty of the movement from the back, never from the front. So it's a very discreet watchmaking. It's a very discreet and elegant watchmaking. So the details of every movement, the details of the finishing of the Côte de Genève, of every elements and the design inspiration are extremely important for Laurent and for Christian, who is the constructor of those timepieces. The galet, the pebble shape is extremely important, and this is a red thread that you will see in any of the watches. The reputation of the brand Laurent Ferrier is that it's extremely fittable on the wrist, extremely elegant. Every time you put that, it's really like embracing your wrists. Like only a few brands can do that. So obviously the brand has developed like many things. It was extremely famous for having a tourbillon watch in the back, but also introducing perpetual calendrier annual calendar in English. And you see the evolution of shapes going from the classic shape to a square yet round opening to the École watch. The bridge is this rectangular watch shape, and the newly introduced the Grand Sport that I will show you a picture in a second, where we have also introduced this year a bracelet, metal bracelets. So this is typically one of the like extremely well known product in the collection, the Classic Traveler, where you see the micro rotor in the back of the watch. So all the elements and the beauty, the soul of the watch is seen only from the back. It's a very intimate product, and not that's the opposite of the show-off product. Same story here with the Natural Escapement, the square version. The annual calendar that we just saw before with another execution. The bridge. And more recently, as I said, this year, in fact, this spring, introducing the Grand Sport Tourbillon, very racy, metal, stainless steel metal bracelets with the tourbillon in the back. And that's the new, the novelty of this summer, introducing our entry price points watch, which is called the Origin, the manual winding watch to enter into the family of Laurent Ferrier. Voilà, that's for my presentation. Now I just propose that we are going back to the questions, and I will shut my mouth, but do only the translation now.
No, please do not shut your mouth. First of all, I would strongly disagree that the beauty of the watch can only be seen from the case back. I think we have all appreciated the calm, reduced design on the front. It's obviously, I know what you meant to say, but I think they're equally beautiful from both sides to look at. So thank you so much for giving the presentation. Also, thank you, Christian, for joining us. We already have a couple of questions coming in. Let me start with maybe the obvious one. How many different calibers did Laurent Ferrier use in the last 10 years?
Combien de calibres de mouvements ont été conceptualisés depuis les 10 dernières années, Laurent ou Christian?
Oui, alors si on parle des calibres de base, le moteur, aujourd'hui on compte donc le tourbillon, double spirale, l'échappement naturel. On a plus récemment eu notre échappement encre suisse. Voilà pour les 3 grands moteurs.
So we have,
et là-dessus, pardon, on a plusieurs variantes comme l'échappement encre suisse, c'est aussi le même moteur que notre quantier manuel sur le tourbillon double spirale galet secret.
Okay, there are 3 main calibers on which they have built like different expressions for the evolution in the last 10 years. Including the tourbillon and including the famous for Laurent Ferrier micro rotor, which is a signature for the company.
And we have Ankur asking what the price point is of the new entry-level model from Laurent Ferrier.
I can directly answer the question. We are at $30,000 US for the entry price level. In Swiss francs, we were just below 30. We are in 28.5 to 28,500 Swiss. We've priced this at $30,000 US.
And would you care to let us know how many watches Laurent Ferrier produces per year?
Laurent, combien de montres sont produites chaque année?
Maintenant, entre 100 et 140.
It's in today's world between 100 and 140. The last 2 years, I just add something that Laurent didn't say, but we are at an average of 150 watches a year.
Hi from New York, everybody. This is Minda Larson. I have a collector asking if Laurent can please say hello and tell us what's on his wrist.
Laurent, est-ce que tu peux nous dire ce que tu as sur ton poignet aujourd'hui et nous expliquer quel est le produit?
Attends, repose ta question.
Qu'est-ce que tu as sur ton poignet?
Qu'est-ce que j'ai sur mon poignet? J'ai un quantier manuel. Voilà. Quantier manuel.
Annual calendar. Est-ce que tu peux juste le montrer un peu plus à la caméra?
Alors, c'est la pièce avec laquelle on a eu le Grand Prix de l'horlogerie pour les montres compliquées en 2018.
2018 Grand Prix of Geneva for the complicated watch was the winner. Laurent was the winner for this watch.
Et c'est une montre que j'aime beaucoup parce qu'elle va dans la philosophie de ce qu'on aime bien chez nous. Ça veut dire que c'est une pièce calendrier annuel, c'est-à-dire qu'on met à l'heure le calendrier qu'une fois par année. On a les jours, la date. Et esthétiquement, c'était des pièces que j'aimais beaucoup sous cette forme-là avec l'aiguille de quantième extérieure qui est très lisible.
It's one of his favorite and baby. Very proud to have won the Grand Prix in Geneva. he loved the idea of this calendar that you need to set only once a year, and the work that has been done with the hands, very thin and very elegant hands.
And he is again nominated at this year's Grand Prix d'Horlogerie. So congratulations on that one. I did get a question from a reader, which is linking to his past as a race car driver. I mean, watchmaking, sitting there for hours and not moving except with the tiniest parts compared to race car driving, isn't that like the absolute opposite extremes you can do? And is that something that he pursued as to balance his profession, or I mean, this is a unique combination.
Laurent, une des personnes qui est écrite dit que il trouve ça étonnant qu'un horloger qui passe des heures de patience derrière un établi ou derrière une feuille, un sketch avec un crayon pour dessiner, de l'autre côté, tu sois quelqu'un qui va très vite avec cette passion de l'automobile. Comment est-ce que ces deux extrêmes, tu les combines ou tu les as combinés? Quel est ton point de vue?
Non, en fait, on les combine pas. C'est deux passions complètement différentes, si ce n'est que les amateurs de course automobile, curieusement, sont souvent des amateurs de belles montres. Et on s'en rend compte actuellement dans le cadre de toutes les pièces qui tournent autour de l'automobile. En général, les collectionneurs de très belles voitures de course ou de sport sont souvent des collectionneurs de montres. Maintenant, pour faire de la course automobile, faire des montres, il faut, si possible, être le plus calme possible. Donc, c'est le lien qu'il peut y avoir entre l'automobile et l'horlogerie.
I will start by translating the last piece of Laurent, and then I will go back to the...
That's the moment you regretted your commitment to do the translation, because
always
it's really difficult.
Laurent just said that you need to be extremely concentrated in both job. You know, when you do a watch, when you assemble something, when you create the watch, or when you design it, you need to be extremely focused and extremely concentrated, and it's the same for car racing. He also noticed that there is a natural, can't explain it exactly, but there is a natural fit between watchmaking, or the love and passion about watches, and car racing. And he's a perfect person, maybe on the other side, like by creating watches and driving the car, but he knows a lot of clients or collectors, you know, acquiring a Laurent Ferrier are also passionate about car racing. You can't explain it, but that's just a reality, and we can say that we notice the same on with different brands. It's true.
Well, I would agree. I mean, we quite often see the world of watchmaking linked to vintage cars, car racing, but we rarely see it that literally where a car racing driver and the watchmaker is one and the same person. So that's certainly unique. We are getting a lot of questions regarding design. Minda.
Yes, I have one more. Is it possible that if you have, Vincent, a picture of the watch that Laurent was wearing, that you could screen share with the audience, please? And then also the audience is asking if his son is wearing a watch, and how is it to work with your son?
Okay. So, well, this is the annual calendar. That's another dial, obviously not the same dial, but this is the watch that Laurent is having on his wrist. Christian, l'audience demande je vais sortir de l'écran et je vais te demander de présenter aussi la montre que toi tu portes.
Alors aujourd'hui, j'en porte pas parce qu'on est en train de tester un nouveau composant dessus et je me sers de la mienne pour faire ce genre de test. Mais habituellement, en fait, je porte une micro-rotor, donc l'échappement naturel, square, avec le champagne dial.
Okay, he's laughing because today he doesn't have, I mean, today, right now, as we speak, he doesn't have any watch on his wrist because he's just testing the watch that he's wearing for some special materials. But usually he's wearing a macro rotor, a natural escapement with a champagne dial, which is his favorite thing right now.
And what watch are you wearing?
Who?
You. No.
No.
Okay, I have to be honest. I have the Grand Sport Tourbillon, which is the let me show you exactly. It's just like one floor below. Because I was wearing watches for the last 6 days, as we discussed just before this panel. I just come back from Mexico City, where we were doing the CR show. So this is the watch I have on my wrist. I mean, I had on my wrist like 10 minutes or 15 minutes ago. And this is the Grand Sport Tourbillon. It's, well, for me, it fits perfectly with my character of like sporty, even though I'm not doing some sports those days, but sporty, strong, yet extremely elegant. And I call it extremely intimate because having the tourbillon and the beauty of the watch on the back is something that only you or just a few people will see when you take off the watch and show it to your people or your neighbors.
That's beautiful. It would be beautiful for women too.
It's extremely, yeah.
It would be. So we have a collector calling in, I believe, from quite far away. Encore, are you there? Can you ask your question, please, and let us know where you are calling from?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi, this is Ankur, although from France. Hello, everybody. Hello, and hello, Lauren. I also want to say hi to Stefan. I don't know if he's a very good friend. My question is, do you plan to make not very beautiful? So do you plan to the opposite, to make a more complicated dial and simple keypad?
We unfortunately had a little bit of a broken up connection, but fortunately we have the written version of your question as well. So basically, trying to summarize, yes, we do acknowledge the beauty of the movements. Are there any plans to also open up the dial, maybe to show a bit more of the movement and not just have that very puristic approach to watch design?
Laurent, la personne qui vient de parler, de poser la question si est-ce que dans la vision, est-ce que dans le futur proche ou plus lointain, tu imagines avoir des montres ou une montre qui présente un peu plus du mouvement de devant, où on peut accéder à une partie du mouvement depuis le devant du cadran?
Alors, la première pièce que nous avons réalisée était le tourbillon, et le tourbillon était caché. Et quelques clients nous ont demandé pourquoi et est-ce qu'on ne ferait pas une pièce ouverte. Et il y a assez peu de temps, Christian a développé un tourbillon ouvert qu'on a fait et qui actuellement, je crois qu'ils ont tous été vendus.
Il a été fait en très petite quantité, c'est vrai.
En très petite quantité. Et pour le moment, on privilégie le côté discret des montres. Alors, ça ne veut pas dire qu'un jour ou l'autre, on va en faire une ouverte, mais personnellement, j'ai toujours privilégié le côté très, très discret de nos montres et où, pour les amateurs de mouvement, c'est très facile d'enlever sa montre et de le montrer en fait qu'à des gens qui sont vraiment intéressés et pas vouloir faire le show, ce qui n'est pas obligatoirement une bonne raison, mais j'aime plutôt la discrétion.
Okay, so Laurent explained that the first tourbillon was presented on the back and not visible from the front, but a few years later, Christian, his son, designed a watch where the tourbillon is in fact accessible or visible from the front, from the dial, with an opening at 6 o'clock. So there was a very limited series of a few pieces were sold, and we're not done anymore, because Laurent's philosophy is more about discretion and the anti-show off. Meaning that if you want to show your tourbillon and the beauty, it has to remain extremely discreet, and you can do that in your like cycle of people and friends, not necessary to show it to everybody outside. So it remains like very the philosophy and the DNA of the company.
And then I have a question that goes back to his past. Laurent didn't just give away Nautiluses. As far as I know, he was also involved with the production of the watch. So he took over from Gerald Genta's design. And having worked with someone like Gerald Genta, and I know that he appreciates both the Royal Oak and the Nautilus, but who was his biggest design inspiration?
Alors, Laurent, on fait référence ici à ton passé avant Laurent Ferrier, avant la marque, en parlant du designer de Gerald Genta, de la Nautilus et de la Royal Oak. Quelle est, d'après toi, quelle est l'inspiration ou celui qui t'a le plus inspiré en termes de designer? Est-ce qu'il y a un designer, est-ce que c'est Genta, est-ce que c'est quelqu'un d'autre? Quel est le designer qui t'a le plus marqué ou inspiré?
Là, on a eu plusieurs designers dans le temps, dans la grande maison dans laquelle je travaillais. Il n'y a pas vraiment de designer horloger qui m'ont inspiré. On peut admirer Gerald Genta qui à l'époque a fait beaucoup de très très belles pièces. Il avait un magnifique bureau d'études et il a fait vraiment beaucoup de pièces. C'est très très difficile de s'inspirer. Nous, on s'est inspiré plutôt des pièces de poche du siècle dernier plutôt que de montres, bracelets. La seule différence avec une montre de poche des années 30 et notre premier tourbillon, c'est qu'on était très très doux sous toutes ses formes et le côté de la montre était vertical, très raide. C'est donné un petit côté moderne tout en gardant cet aspect des montres de poche.
Attends, je t'interromps ici pour traduire. So for Laurent, it's extremely difficult to say that in terms of inspiration, when he used to work for Patek, his work, Laurent's work at that moment was more inspired by the pocket watches and the very, very extremely rounded and ergonomic watches and pebble, like we call it in French, galet. So his inspiration and his work for 37 years in Geneva with we call it the Grande Maison, the big house, for 37 was really more oriented to the heritage of the company, and not necessarily too much on the novelties and the more modern things that Gerald Genta did with the Nautilus.
Il y a une chose qui est très, très importante sur une montre, c'est l'équilibre général. Et ça, quelle que soit la forme, qu'elle soit rectangulaire, ronde, tout a été fait depuis des dizaines d'années. Et le seul moyen de se faire remarquer, si tant est qu'on peut le faire, c'est d'avoir quelque chose de très, très pur. Avec des lignes tendues et le plus doux possible.
One of his motto and consistent inspiration is always to find like it's very difficult to explain, a balance always when you create a product with pure lines. That's his attention every second when he designs is an extreme well-balanced design with pure lines. We say tendu in French, difficult to express this in English, but that's his direction, and that's what he has done also in the past before Laurent Ferrier brand.
I have a question from Ricardo that's totally different. What is your favorite car, Laurent?
Quelle est ta voiture préférée, Laurent?
Il y en a plein. Alors, là, je viens de regarder 84 montres pour le Grand Prix de l'horlogerie pour lesquelles il faut donner des notes Et c'est un exercice qui est épouvantable parce que c'est très, très, très difficile de dire celle-là est plus belle que celle-ci. Mes voitures préférées, si j'avais 20 ans de moins, je pense que ça serait une McLaren parce qu'actuellement, je trouve que c'est une voiture magnifique.
Let me just translate this. Et je reviens vers toi, Laurent. He just literally come back from a meeting, I guess this morning, where he was like scanning 85 or 84 different products for the Grand Prix of Geneva. So he is part of the jury. And for him, it's extremely tough and difficult to say this one is better than the other one. It's a very complex choice, and he was like suffering this morning about that. He says that if he had like 20 years less, definitely a McLaren. That will be his dream car at the moment.
Au niveau de la ligne, voilà, de nouveau, c'est une ligne fantastique.
Yeah.
Qui est très, très pure. Et après, la mécanique est magnifique comme nos mouvements, j'espère.
Pure lines, design, and obviously the engine is outstanding.
Well, I wouldn't disagree. That reminds me that I also have to go over the 84 watches, but from the comfort of my home. That also needs to happen. Another question that quite often pops up, and also today, is from a collector asking if or maybe when are we going to see a chronograph with the name Laurent Ferrier?
Une des questions qui revient plusieurs fois, Laurent, maintenant dans le panel, c'est quand est-ce que et si on verra un chronographe dans la marque Laurent Ferrier?
On a une petite structure et pour faire un chronographe de très très bonne qualité, ce n'est pas du tout facile. Donc certainement on fera un chronographe, mais il suffit pas de dire on veut le faire pour pouvoir le sortir une année ou 2 ans après. C'est vrai que ça irait très bien avec l'idée de la course automobile et on y viendra certainement un jour, mais on l'a pas prévu en tout cas pour l'année prochaine.
Laurent says that it's a natural fit. He agrees with the fact it's a natural fit to have a chronograph in the collection, and he thinks that it will come to Laurent Ferrier brand. However, he says also that his point of view on a chronograph means that there is a need to be extremely well designed and perfectly functional. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of developments. So he says it's definitely not for 2021, but for later.
And I mean, that's something that I totally agree. And people quite often underestimate the difficulties that go along with creating a new chronograph movement, especially when you're a smaller company like Laurent Ferrier. But he admitted there is going to be one. So we heard that. That's for the protocol. He said there is going to be one.
On a noté que tu as dit, c'est ce qu'il vient de dire, qu'il y aura un chronographe un jour, peut-être pas tout de suite, mais un jour, et c'est une nouvelle. Voilà, c'est ce qu'il vient d'être dit.
J'espère que la maison sera encore là dans 20 ans ou dans 30 ans. Je serai peut-être plus là, mais là, il y aura très certainement un chronographe.
He hopes that the company will keep going generation after generation, and he doesn't know if he will still be there, but for sure there will be a chronograph one of those days. Yes.
Minda, do you want to jump in with Charlie's question, or should I take the one I have?
Yes. I think we just have time for just 2 more. We did just get a question from Charlie that said, hello, Laurent, have you collaborated in the past or would consider with another independent watchmaker?
Answer is yes, but I will ask. Laurent,
well, that's why you're on screen now.
Laurent, est-ce que tu as déjà participé ou est-ce que tu vas participer? J'ai dit que j'avais déjà la réponse. À une collaboration avec un autre horloger, faisant allusion à Urwerk, à mon avis.
Non, la collaboration avec Urwerk était très, très, très sympa, très agréable. On a fait une pièce vraiment très chouette, mais c'était dans le cadre d'un événement exceptionnel. Moi, j'aimais beaucoup le mouvement Urwerk et la forme de la pièce Urwerk m'avait fait penser à l'époque à une automobile. Et c'est de là qu'on avait dit on va faire une pièce unique pour Only Watch. Normalement, on ne devrait pas collaborer, mais il ne faut jamais dire jamais.
Yeah, Laurent says never says never, and this is what happened. I think 2 or 3. C'était il y a 2 ans, 3 ans. Hein?
Ouais, 3 ans en tout cas.
3 years ago, they decided Laurent Ferrier worked together with Urwerk, with Mr. Baumgartner from Urwerk, and they created a watch, a single watch for Only Watch in Monaco, which is an auction sale for foundation once a year, where the case, the watch case, so the design of the watch was coming from Laurent Ferrier, and the movement content was coming from Urwerk, and they're very specific and special way to display time. So he has a good memory of that collaboration, and that's why he said never say never.
Thank you. And one more, and that might be something that I have been asking myself for quite some time. Switzerland consists of several hubs of watchmaking, and each of these hubs brings a certain quality, a certain philosophy, a certain understanding of watchmaking. So we have Schaffhausen with the few brands that we have there. We have Biel with mainly the Swatch Group. We have Le Val de Choux, but we also have, of course, Geneva. How does he define Geneva watchmaking, and why was it always clear to him that his own company would represent the values of Geneva watchmaking?
La question est en synthèse, la Suisse, on a Schaffhouse, on a l'horlogerie à Bienne, principalement le Swatch Group, on a la Vallée de Joux, on a Neuchâtel et on a Genève. Quel est ton regard sur ces blocs d'horlogerie ou ces zones géographiques? Est-ce qu'il y a des tendances? Et est-ce que pour toi, c'était naturel au démarrage de la marque d'être établi à Genève plutôt que dans une autre géographie éventuellement?
Oui, dans la mesure où je suis né à Genève, j'ai travaillé toute ma vie à Genève. Maintenant, j'habite dans le canton de Vaud, mais je travaille toujours à Genève. Donc, Genève est un pôle horloger fantastique. En plus, en Suisse, on a une chance exceptionnelle, c'est que la montre de grande qualité, on va dire qu'il y en a qu'en Suisse. Pour l'automobile, il y a les Italiens ont les Ferrari, les Anglais ont les Rolls, les Allemands ont les Mercedes. Tout est éparpillé, alors que les montres reconnues, à part quelques amis allemands qui font des montres de très, très belle qualité, mais la Suisse entière réalise de très belles pièces. Les Jurassiens, au départ, c'est plutôt les Jurassiens qui ont fait de l'horlogerie, puisque c'était des paysans qui, l'hiver, fabriquaient des montres de poche quand il y avait de la neige dehors. Mais sinon, la Suisse, en général, est un pôle horloger. Et effectivement, tout le monde est regroupé parce que certains fournisseurs sont aussi regroupés en Suisse romande.
Je continuerai peut-être spécifiquement sur Genève. Je vais juste traduire ce que tu viens de dire. Laurent explained that for him it was natural to be in Geneva because he was born in Geneva and so he's from Geneva, so that was a natural fit, and he worked always in Geneva. So that was clear, even though today he lives in the other state, in the other canton, which is Vaud, which is just next to Geneva. He was talking about a little bit of the beginning of the watch industry, how it started in the Swiss Jura, in fact, which is another type of watchmaking, where you may know or not, but it started with farmers. Winter was extremely tough. So during the winter, they couldn't take care of the animals, and so they had to take care of something else, and they started to do like micromechanics, and they created the watch, and it was like in the 16th century, or more or less. Pour revenir à Genève, est-ce que tu vois une différence d'horlogerie genevoise versus une horlogerie Vallée de Joux ou autre? Est-ce que tu as un sentiment?
Ben non, très honnêtement non, parce que si on regarde Audemars ou Patek, pour ne citer qu'eux, ils ont la même philosophie, si ce n'est que Patek encore beaucoup de pièces très compliquées. Mais non,
Laurent,
nos amis de Chaffos font aussi de très belles pièces.
yeah. Laurent doesn't think that there is such a difference between the Schaffhausen watchmaking or the Vallée de Joux or Geneva and the other places. It's more a question of brands. I was just referring or mentioning Patek Philippe and Audemars Piguet. That's, technically one is in Geneva and the other one is in Vallée de Joux, and he doesn't think that there is a geographic difference.
And he couldn't have given a more diplomatic answer. Thank you. So,
Une réponse plus diplomatique, Laurent, il dit.
watching the clock, which I am wearing today, but I have learned today that there is a fantastic excuse to say that I've left my tourbillon right next. I'm wearing one. Unfortunately, we are literally running out of time and we're starting the next panel in 3 minutes. On behalf of the audience, on behalf of Watch Time, thank you so much for doing the translations today, Vincent. C'était fantastique, merci mille fois. Et à Laurent et à Christian, merci mille fois pour cette séance. C'était absolument génial et c'était un honneur. Merci mille fois.
Merci
So,
à vous.
having said that, back to the studio, as we usually say.
Merci beaucoup en tout cas.
Merci.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye bye.